Welcome back. This is Awesome Gamer Dude, and today we are going to be figuring out, because Greg Heffley are all of our childs. I'm pretty sure all of you have read at least one book. The series is pretty popular. And we're going to figure out why Greg Heffley has been in middle school for 5 stinking years. That's not possible unless something was really going on. So today we're going to figure that out.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid was basically the Bible of our childhood. You couldn't escape this thing if you were a child born in the last 10 or 15 years. How long has it been going on? My point is, Diary of a Wimpy Kid is a pop culture icon, and it's created the living god, Jeff Kinney, who we all look up to and praise every single day. Thank you! But all joking aside, this book series is gigantic, and it's actually going on its 14th book, which begs the question, guys, how on earth is Greg Heffley still in middle school? Or is he? See, I tried to do the Vsauce thing. I don't think it really panned out that well, but I tried to do it. No, but for real though, Greg Heffley has been in middle school since literally 2007 when the first book dropped. I don't know about you guys, but when that book came out, I wasn't even close to middle school, and now I'm graduating high school. Why is Greg still stuck behind? Greg, are your grades not good, man? What's wrong, buddy? Now, this is a serious question, and I really wanted to work hard to answer it. There has to be some legitimate reason why Greg Heffley's still in middle school. You could sit here and say,
it's just a book series, Nemo. It's just a fictional character. Grow up, move on, get a real job.
And to that, I'd say, Dad, how did you find my YouTube channel? I believe there's legitimate science and research in the fact that Greg Heffley is still in middle school for a very specific reason, and I have a lot of evidence. Like, I literally spent a lot of hours researching this. So guys, let's all collectively delve deep and answer the question, how is Greg Heffley still in middle school? Let's start with the timeline. Greg Heffley has been in middle school in our years since 2007, but we can't count it like that. The books work in their own time span. Some books cover years, some books cover just months at a time. So in order to really find out in their years how long Greg Heffley's been in middle school, we'd have to make some sort of ultimate timeline to show which books took place on which months and so on and so forth, and I did that. So let's take a look at what I consider the unofficial Diary of a Wimpy Kid timeline. The first one, do you know timeline to show which books took place on which months and so on and so forth, and I did that. So let's take a look at what I consider the unofficial diary.
So we have the first book taking up the 6th grade, the second one taking up the winter/fall, the second one taking up the entire spring, this one taking up the summer, this one is from fall to winter, and this one's winter, this one's from winter to spring, this one's from spring to summer, this one's summer, this one's from fall to winter, this one is at the end of fall, this one is in spring, this one is in summer, and so on and so forth.
Of Wimpy Kid timeline. The first one takes place the first year of middle school. Alright, a whole year of middle school in the can with one single book. One fell swoop. But then we have the year of 7th grade. Okay, 7th grade stretches over the course of 3 books, so we kind of really up the ante. Project Rules really takes place in the sort of fall-winter era, picking up with The Last Straw, which goes into summer, which is picked up by Dog Days. So already it's kind of bizarre. Greg went from having 1 diary for the whole year to needing 3 full diaries to catalog his life. So at this point, it's 8th grade, the last technical year of middle school. At this point in time, it makes total sense for Greg Heffley to still be a middle schooler. He's just a little baby boy. But this is when it starts to get a little trippy. We go from him needing 1 journal to 5 whole journals. Now, either Greg Heffley has unleashed his passion for writing and drawing, or, not to jump to conclusions, that he's relying more and more on these journals as a sort of escapism? If you really think about it, every Diary of a Wimpy Kid book is just a kid bitching about his problems, however small or big they may be. So as we see over the course of his middle school years, his teen angsty years, he's using these journals as an outlet for all of that teen angst and everything he's going through. This is when middle school should be over for Greg Heffley. Mathematically speaking, this is when his middle school experience should have ended, and it just doesn't. Instead, it keeps on going. So this right here, I knew this book was important. This book mattered. This book meant something. Something had to have happened in the long haul that created...
Put in the comments, what do you think happened in the long haul?
More middle school adventures for a boy who should be in high school by now. So I dug deep, did some research. I read the book. What I found is pretty amazing. I believe that in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Long Haul, Greg Heffley fortunately dies. So in the book, there's a family called the Beardos. They're apparently weird. It's hard to really gauge what's going on. They just see them throughout their vacation, and they seem like weird characters overall. They actually serve as the main antagonists of the book, and I'm sorry, do you know any other Diary of a Wimpy Kid book having a main antagonist? This isn't the fucking Avengers. I mean, sure, Greg had problems, you know, he had problems with Roderick, and he's gotten in more fights with Rowley than I think anyone could have imagined. But I digress. I started wondering, wait a second, who are the Beardos? What's going on here? What does this have a meaning outside of the literal book? I started to read between the lines. I started doing some research, and I have one word for you: the Mafia. I believe the Beardo family is based off of the Boyardos, specifically Richard Tony Boy Boyardo, the famous Mafia gang family member. That's right, there was an actual crime boss Mafia family called the Boyardos that were pretty prominent and are pretty famous. But then I was thinking, well, why would Jeff Kinney put the Mafia in his book? I started thinking, what are Jeff Kinney's motives at all? What has he said more often than not in any other interview?
So I wanted to create a character who was more like I was.
So in a sense, these books are kind of autobiographical. So he's not shy to putting personal experiences in a Wimpy Kid book. So why would Jeff Kinney have ties to the Mafia? This is where it gets pretty deep. I did a background check on the Kinney last name to see where they were really from. If they were from Italy, then I really had my silver bullet. Then that would have proved that Jeff Kinney was in the Mafia. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Turns out the Kinney family is from Scotland originally, but spent a lot of their time in the US, a majority of their time actually. But you know where a lot of the Kinney family resided? More than 10% lived in New York. Where is there a more famous place for Mafia crime than New York City? This was it. This was my connection that linked Kinney to the Mafia, that proved my theory. And I knew...
What the heck?
Hi everybody, I'm here to
Diary of a Wimpy Kid was basically the...
Sorry.
See where they were really from. If they were from Italy, then I really had my silver bullet. Then that would have proved that Jeff Kinney was in the Mafia. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Turns out the Kinney family is from Scotland originally, but spent a lot of their time in the US, a majority of their time actually. But you know where a lot of the Kinney family resided? More than 10% lived in New York. Where is there a more famous place for Mafia crime than New York City? This was it. This was my connection that linked Kinney to the Mafia, that proved my theory. And I knew I was really onto something, because when I tried to do a background check for the Boyardo family, I found their Ancestry.com account locked, almost as if they were hiding something. Like if someone was this close to the truth, they'd never truly be able to get to it. And who would have the power to lock a website as big as Ancestry.com? Someone powerful and influential, like Jeff Kinney, who was featured in Time Magazine's 100 most influential people of the year list. This is a man who holds a lot of the cards. He can do anything.
I mean, listen to how he talks about family road trips in general in this interview.
I think every family road trip of more than about 3 hours is a nightmare family road trip.
Sounds like you have a lot of baggage, Jeff.
Everything's fitting together. All these pieces are coming together. Don't you see?
So Retro Nemo, how does this tie into the other books, you idiot? If Greg Heffley's dead, why are there still books, you idiot?
First of all, it's really mean. But second of all, I hear your pain, okay? But that's the thing. When Greg Heffley died, the series just pivoted what it was about. It was no longer just about the middle school adventures of Greg. It was about somebody who died and the 7 stages of grief that followed. Let's take a look at the next book, directly after The Long Haul. Diary of a Wimpy Kid Old School. Its color? Completely black. This marked the death of Greg Heffley. I mean, how did you go from all these colorful covers and all these happy little pictures to pitch black? This book represents Greg's death. Him looking at old technology is him reflecting on his past life and everything he had and he's losing.
There are so many clues in Old School pointing to the fact that Greg is dead. The very first page shows Greg in a casket being viewed. There's other little clues throughout the book, like a throwback to when he found the Mafia base, even receiving notes from the Mafia. And then there's that strange ambiguous page that reads, "Welp, I'm dead. I died. This is it. I'm dead now. My character died. Greg is dead. How do you explain that, skeptics? I'm telling you, the answers are here. You just have to look. It even explains why Rowley is so stupid and dumb, because he's perpetually stuck as a middle schooler just like Greg. Meanwhile, out in the real world, Rowley's probably becoming like a Chad or something. Probably started playing football and he's probably got a girlfriend. I don't know. But in Greg's purgatory world, he stays dumb and stupid forever. His own personal hell.
And I know you're thinking, there's no way this theory has any more legs. Well, it does. The first stage of grief is shock, okay? Look at Greg Heffley on the cover of Double Down. That face of pure shocked expression. Look how much weight he has to carry, knowing that he's dead now.
Well, Nemo, that was kind of a stretch.
Okay, I'll do you better. The next stage of grief is denial. The next book in the Wimpy Kid series, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Getaway, in which Greg and his family literally pack all of their things and get on a plane and fly away to some tropical island to ignore their problems. It's literally denial. Even on the cover, it looks like he's in denial. He's getting on this airplane to leave away this false truth. It gets weirder. The next stage of grief is anger. The next book, The Meltdown. I mean, come on! No, it's kind of unclear from here because the next one's Rowley's book. Is that a spinoff? Does that count? But the next stage of grief is bargaining. It almost seems like Jeff Kinney's bargaining with creativity. The next stage is testing, and so far the only thing we know about the book is that the fake cover has like a jail ball on it. I don't know. Maybe he's gonna go to jail to test death. But the point is, it could keep going on. We have to wait for this next cover to come out. But from here on out, this series really has just been about a boy learning to accept his death. An unfortunate death at the hands of the mafia. And it makes sense that he dies in the long haul because that movie they made off of it represented the death of all of happiness and our childhoods. Now, Jeff Kinney has said in interviews that he just decided at a certain point Greg's a cartoon character and he could just be a cartoon character. Age doesn't matter. But I don't think it's that easy. And I think Jeff knows we know that too. He left us these clues on purpose. Something a lot more sinister is lurking behind the Wimpy Kid series. Something even more sinister is currently happening in it. Whether or not you believe this theory, completely up to you. But guys, the evidence is there. You just have to look at it. Well, it looks like that's all the time I have. Denial.
Bargaining, depression, testing. Guys, the Wrecking Ball is about testing. Acceptance. Finding. That's the deep end, guys. What he's saying is true. Holy. Guys. Greg is dead. Well, I'm going to leave some links to my other videos. That's going to be the end for this video. But holy, Greg is dead. Everything points towards it. So, I'm going to see you in the next video. Bye.